Today I'm going to show you how I took this broken ice cream maker and turned it into this Tusken Raider themed Camtono from Star Wars. Started off with this very cheap but cool looking old school ice cream maker. I bought this ice cream maker from my local Goodwill about 2 years ago, and it's been just sitting on a shelf ever since. And then Aedo from Fabworks, you should check out his channel, put out a challenge to come up with an item that would be at either Dok Ondar's or Savi's from Galaxy's Edge. So I thought, what if it was a custom Camtono? Gave me an excuse to actually put this into use as a project. So I started by figuring out how I was going to create the door. X-Acto knife wasn't strong enough, so I got out my Dremel, and that made quick work of it. And then I cleaned up the edges. I wanted to keep the wood around the outside because that's kind of what gave me the idea of it being like a Tusken theme, the color and the look. And you saw how I used my reciprocating saw to cut out the wood. This is going to be a broken Camtono. I picture it as if the Tusken Raiders broke into it and then decided to continue to use it, but it no longer worked as if it was originally intended. The door is just held on by a simple hinge. Once I got the door in place, there was one slat that just kept moving on me, so I decided to add a screw to stop that from happening. Then I added some backing plastic on the door so that when you open it up, it has like a lip. This is just some old ABS sheeting that I had. Pretty much everything in this project was made from parts that I had on hand. Did a little light sanding so that I could paint it. I didn't want it to look white on the inside. So I just took some old black spray paint and painted the inside. The top looked too clean, so I decided to just use the guts of the top. And to make a simple lid, I just used some dollar store foam. Cut it out, and then I hot glued it in place. This project used a lot of hot glue. My goal was to do it as quickly and as simply as possible without having to do a lot of extra effort. If I was to do it again, I probably would 3D print the round top so that it was a little more sturdy. So I took some brown leather from a Tusken mask project that I had, and I put it on the inside. And then some other fabric from my Tusken project that I had left over, I decided to put some decoration around the outside and fill some gaps. The whole thought process is, what would the Tuskens do with this to basically make it a trophy? If you walked up to a Tusken camp and saw this sitting in the camp, you might not know what it is, but you would think that it belonged there was the goal. The challenge, depending on when you're watching this video, either is going to end or ended on July 8th. We had to submit 3 pictures of our finished project and a backstory of why either Savi or Dok Ondar had this and why we were stealing it from there. You'll have to check out any videos that Fabworks puts out to see what my backstory is. But it was fun to come up with one. As I said, I put a lot of hot glue into this, and this is a lot of canvas fabric that I had left over from I made 2 Tusken masks, one for me and one for my brother-in-law. Then I painted the top, didn't get that on camera, and I decided to start doing some weathering. This is just burnt umber paint and water, and I'm brushing it in different places and just letting it soak in. The thing about the Tatooine desert is, while weathering is important, I think sometimes you can go too dark. It's more like, sand would sandblast something and actually take color off rather than add color. So unless it's fabric, I didn't want to make the wood too dark. And then here's where I decided, well, I'm going to try to make it as Tusken as possible. And I took my leftover leather and started to wrap around the motor box like it would be the nose of a Tusken mask. So then I decided to start tucking some fabric in the middle. I'm going to hide all the guts of where the box or where the motor was in the middle. So I 3D printed the tusks and the horns from a Tusken mask and trimmed them to fit over a couple of these screw bosses. Threw together some greeblies from an old hard drive to fill in the middle. Then back to doing some more weathering. Then I have some paint called Pavement, so it's more like a dark gray instead of black that I went over the black with because the black just seemed a little too bright. And what's a Camtono without some buttons? So I quickly printed up some buttons, and I sanded them a little and put them in place, painted them white, and of course the white's way too bright. So I just went over them with a gray water wash to darken them up. And here you see my final Camtono. If you made it this far in the video, please like and subscribe. I want to make more like this, and I hope you enjoyed it.